Busy.
All right, Elgin Jones of the South Florida Times. I'm speaking with artist Gary L. Moore, the creator of the Harambee Room here at the African American Research Library, and we're talking about damage done to the artwork by the installation of a fire alarm system. Mr. Moore, could you show us the damage and what we believe is a new fire system?
The damage occurs on this panel here. There's a gap between the fire alarm system and the actual wall panel. There are two large cuts in the panel, which are very obvious, and somehow or another that affected a smaller tear at the top of the panel.
And what year did you install this artwork?
This was done in 2002.
2002. And has anyone from the county contacted you about this?
No, not yet.
No. And tell us what this panel depicts.
This panel depicts James Sistrunk, whose Sistrunk Boulevard is named after. Here is a Baptist hospital, the first black hospital in the area. This is Reverend Ivory Mizell, the Mizell Library, and Eula Johnson, who was an activist here in Broward County.
And when was the last time you visited this room?
I do it often. The last time I think was maybe about the middle of June.
And when you visited here in June, did you notice any of this damage?
No, because this fire alarm, there's always been a fire alarm there. But I don't recall it being that particular size fire alarm. That may be the exact size, but somehow or another I don't recall this gap being here. So I'm assuming what happened was they may have installed a larger alarm at some point.
And what about the lack of detail and finish?
It's tacky. It's very tacky. It's very shoddy. It's an insult to the art piece because you create art to sort of elevate people to a whole different experience. And when you have this sort of like shoddy craftsmanship, it's very distracting. And if it was a county employee, I'm just sort of surprised at the level of the quality of their work as government employees.
At this point, the county says they were not aware of this damage, and they're trying to determine who actually did the work. They think at this point it's a contractor. Normally, would they bring the artist in to oversee maintenance or work that may impact the art?
When I finished the piece, I submitted a maintenance contract or guidelines to maintain the piece. And I think as part of those guidelines, there may be a stipulation that the artist will be involved in any damage done to the actual artwork. Typically, Broward County Public Art and Design will call in the artist to oversee any kind of repairs that's needed for the project. That's done on an ordinary basis. But I don't think that I was called in for this.
And can this piece be repaired, or will it have to be replaced?
You got to replace the piece. I mean, it's obviously that you can't fill in a gap like that. That's about a quarter of an inch gap, and you have cuts and tears like right here and here. So we have to remove the entire band going around. I don't know how far, maybe down to here. The band has to come off, the top and the bottom. This should be peeled off archivally by an expert, and we have another panel already done for replacement. And, you know, it's like ideally, this fire alarm should be moved over to this wall somewhere else in the building, somewhere else in the room. Now, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Okay, because this whole red thing is sort of detracting of the project. It doesn't really fit into the whole. But I understand that the fire alarm needs to be there. Originally, when I designed the room was not part of the building's original program. So I created it as a very special space. And that fire alarm was not in the plans that I received. And I had my installer install the work. I was out of town. When I came back in town, it was already installed, and that was there. Okay. And I couldn't do anything about it then.
And what is a rough estimate as to what it will cost and take and time to repair this properly or replace it?
Let me see. It would cost at least about maybe $5,000 or $6,000. The time involved, it may be about 12 hours, 14 hours of work. I don't know. I think that the attachment material is meant to be permanent. So they'll probably need to peel this off, redo the wall, have it resurfaced for the next panel to come onto it. And it has to be fit in exactly. What will be challenging is that it's in the middle of two panels. And we installed it one after each other sequentially, so it's easy to fit them in. But here, because there's shrinkage on both sides, right? A small amount of shrinkage on both sides, which is natural. So that would have to be installed, about maybe 12 hours or more, in long story short.
And what is this device?
What's the device? I don't know what the hell it is, man. It's like it's a fire alarm. And I think it's standard. What you might want to do is see if there's other alarms that size in the building. Because I think that alarm was much smaller than what we have here. You know, too, it may actually, that may be the original piece, okay? But I never recall this being here. And you said Ten Lee was here from Broward County Public Art?
Yes, he's.
Well, if he's been here and that was not there, and that gap is being shown like this in these cuts, I should have been made aware of that from Ten Lee. Mm-hmm. Because Ten Lee is the archivist and conservator for the Public Art Department, and that's what he does for a living. This is why he's a salaried employee, and I should have been contacted.
All right. Thank you, Gary Moore.
You're welcome.